It's long. Hotel. Peace. We keeping it clean. Get them in here. You don't want to miss this. This is entitled Ra and the Stargate. That's what we're going to call this one. Hold on just a second. Ah, yeah, never have it been made so clear. Just how can I get some of those PDF books? Hey, you just cash at me $45 donation to this cash app. Leave your emails and the links, and I'll send you all 8 books by the young elder in PDF form ASAP. As soon as you send the $45 donation, we will send the books. Make sure you put your emails in the link though, so I can send them right over. You want to get those books before they go on Amazon, because they're gonna be $45 a piece once they get on Amazon. I'm rewriting. Well, I'm not rewriting them. I'm just getting them set up so I can put them on Amazon. Hakeem, stop it, bro. Yeah, me and Rod got about 400 hours worth of tape put out. Some of the scrolls, a lot of them is free on Scribe, but whatever we got, I got a couple already, like in my phone. I'll try to send them to you with the other stuff, the ones that I do got on PDF form, to my guy Reggie. Yeah, but this is the title, Ra and the Stargate. People was asking about, wait, what about Ra and the Stargate? So in order to understand Ra and the Stargate, keep in mind, Ra, how would I start traveling? Do I go through the people or by myself? Hey, you already traveling if you dreaming. Yeah, so Ra and the Stargate. We'll take questions in a minute. Ra is Murdoch. Murdoch is Enki's son, right? Enki is a new son, Elion El. So the bloodline of the Natharus really starts with Enki. Enki becomes Ptah in ancient Kemet. Keep in mind, it's the same culture. Ancient Kemet and Mesopotamia or ancient Babylon is the same culture. It's just 2 different sides of the family. When you're dealing with ancient Kemet and as far as the city of the gods down in Central America, you're dealing with the Enki bloodline. Now, like I say, Enki become Ptah. Ra, Murdoch, Enki's son, translate over into Ra. Becomes Amun Ra, Atum Ra, Atum Ra, all them Atum Re, Ra, right? That was all the same people, right? It just trickling down due to different events that happened, the name changed. All right. So at one point, thousands of years ago, the planet was quarantined and the Anunnakis left the planet and went back to their home systems. Now, keep in mind, we was living on a planet, we was living in a tri-solar system called Elion, which had 19 planets and 3 suns. Rizq, and we had to evacuate Rizq, so the 19 families of bloodlines broke off and went their own ways. Some of them went to Pleiades, some of them went to Arcturus, some of them we went to Orion, right? The 3 stars in Orion's belt, which is actually 9 stars, as we pointed out. Some of us went to Sirius, other star systems. Now, Enki's bloodline migrated to Orion. Later on, because this is the original home of Enki's bloodline, Enki's people on his mother's side, that family line returned to Ki. But at this time, they didn't call it Ki like the Anunnakis did. They started calling it Tyri, right? Or Ta, right? And one of the names they inherited was the Ancient Ones or the Atlanteans. If you study the Bible, they refer to as Murdoch as the Ancient One, right? And they mention of him in Revelations as well when they say Amen, the being Amen, who was in the beginning of the creation of God, right? That's 3:14, I think. I think that's in the Revelations, right? So these people, these Inky bloodline return and start trying to educate the humans. Now we're gonna do another tape after this called "Who Will Be," because people are still asking the same question. And we already told them. They asked who was here before the Anunnakis. We told them who was here before the Anunnakis. Right? We'll get into that. We'll do a whole tape on that. But we're just talking about riding the Stargate. So at this time, we started developing more technology once we got to Orion, and the separation happened where we wasn't being in competition. It was kind of still like a competition, but we wasn't close to each other so that we can, stop the other one. Because it's always Enlil's side trying to stop Inky side, right? But so when we got separated and we went to Orion, we was able to start developing more technology. One of those technologies was the device you refer to as the Stargate technology, which is sort of like a telephone or wormhole type of device where if you dial a certain star system or galaxy, you're able to transfer there in a matter of a couple seconds. Travel light years in seconds. So Murdoch developed this technology. Then we came back to Earth, right, and started setting up different things to educate the humans. First, they set up the School of Amenti in the center of the Earth. And then with Tahuti, to keep in mind, Tahuti is just a title. Two people carried that title, Murdoch and his little brother named Ningazita. He was the Tahuti. Ningazita was actually the Tahuti that wrote the Emerald Tablets. Now CERN is more making a connection between. It's similar. It's got similar technology, but the CERN is a little different. CERN is trying to open up a wormhole to these fourth dimensional beings can come in. These disagreeable fourth dimensional beings can have a way into this dimension and start taking bodies. The Stargate is more of a transfer from one physical destination to another. It's like sort of like the light beaming technology that the Greys use as far as the Stargate technology. So they came back, started setting up. Now, Ra did eventually get a little cocky, and he saw that, hey, we can use these humanoid bodies and we can make our own. We can. The first thing he started doing is taking the humans and training them and making his own military. A lot of the Anunnakis was doing this. Started training them, these humans, and started making his own military. When we came back, about around a little bit after a couple thousand years ago, when Ra came, he saw the first people that he seen when he came back was these Afar people. Right, these Afar people. If you look at Ra in the holy tablets, he got an Afar avatar when he come back for the last spin, right, or the spin they just came, right, before this era. These Afar people, they end up starting to set up a Stargate in ancient Kemet and start sending people, good young men, soldiers through these wormholes, through this Stargate to go to other planets, and they were being trained as warriors for certain clans. They kind of break this down a little bit in the Stargate movie, and we break it down in a book that we got out. If you get those books, 8 books for $45. One of those books is the Orion Group, where we break some of this information down on the bloodline coming down from that side. So every certain amount of years, they would send young virgins and young men, Jafar, which they later on became known. They call them in the Stargate movie the Jafar Warriors, and each Yahweh or System Lord, which is the same thing, System Yahweh, had their own group of humans that they would come to Earth and pick. Earth is like a growing ground for genetics. Like a lot of extraterrestrials visit here to pull genetics to either help their species, evolve their species, or what have you. But like I say, Ra and them was taking humans from the planet and making them into warriors. Then they started taking humans and as hosts, because they needed avatars. Once they got more developed, they learned that they don't have to make an avatar in a tube no more. All they had to do is come to Earth and take a body. And this is where you get into possessions, allegiance of beings taking over one body. There can be more than there can be a certain amount of beings that can house one body. Up to 25,000 beings can be. Up to 2,500 beings can occupy one body. So it could be 7 or 8 different beings. Some of them, and it might be good beings, or it could be bad beings. The bad beings become the demonic possessions. When these negative extraterrestrials come here and take people's body, and you see them walking down the street talking to themselves, or screaming and scratching themselves, or just hollering out loud. They say they call it T-Rex syndrome, right? So so they figured out at that point they could start taking hosts. So Ra and them started taking humans and taking them as hosts. And this went on for a while because the ancient these people, these certain people in that area, really on the whole planet, because they was in City of the Gods and in ancient Kemet, they really worship the Anunnakis as gods. Because you got to think about it. If beings come here with a certain level of technology that you never even seen, and they land in these ships and they showing you stuff that you don't even know about, and they got all these devices and they are way ahead of you in technology, you go perceive them as to be gods. You can perceive them as to be gods. And so they worship these Ra and them like gods, and they pretty much, the people that the demigods, which become the children of these Natharus, like stemming down from Haru, because you got Haru, then his son Idihar, then Kai, then the Scorpion King 2, because Kai really was the Scorpion King 1, and then you got Menes, starts the first dynasty. Menes, Norma. Then from Norma, the bloodline triggers down through they say 46 dynasties, right? But it was actually 3 or 4 or 5 pre-dynastic dynasties before. So it really like 50 or 51 dynasties coming down from Osiris, the Lord of the Perfect Black, right? So they were sending these beings through the Stargate for a while until a pharaoh named Den, because these, you might not believe it or not, but the people that was made the gods was the Twa. The Twa was really in charge of stuff, right? Now the Afars were like the protectors, and these Watusis, some of them were protectors for the Twa. But if you look at the Ra during the time of Pharaoh Den, it was an uprising. The uprising was because the people got tired of sending their kids for the guards through these Stargates. So they made an uprising and started to go and defile went against Ra. Right? They went against Ra. Or this god Ra, right? Murdoch. And then but Pharaoh then ended up keeping the tradition going because he fought these beings to keep it going, right? And then when his grandson, if I believe his name was Khufre, right? I think it's Khufre, he decided to bury the Stargate under the sand to stop so that these Goa'uld or these Natharus couldn't come back through the Stargate again, because that's how they was getting there. From Orion is 1,344 light years away. In the ship that they had at the time, it would take years, if not longer than that, to get here. But the Stargate made it easier so they could just come straight here real fast, straight to the Stargate, right? But when the Stargates got buried, one covered it was like three of them here. One was in ancient Kemet. It got buried by Khufre, I think. And then another one got covered with ice down in Antarctica. And then they had one on the back of the moon that got damaged, right? Supposedly. But your government ended up finding all of them. At least two of them. The U.S. government got two of them. And Russia supposedly got one off the moon, because they were one of the first people besides the Germans to go to the moon. Right? So in 1938 is when they found the one in ancient Kemet. And they brought it back over here to America. And they sunk the ship on the coast of New Jerusalem, right? And make like they lost all the wreckage. But they ended up recovering the Stargate and taking it to the Seminole complex in Colorado underground, and started trying to activate the device, but they were missing one piece. The piece that they were missing was the remote that go to it. Because they found the device, but they didn't find the remote, which was, I think they eventually found it, but they didn't know what it was till later. And in 1940, they ended up manually activating the Stargate and sending somebody through it. And the guy got stuck on one of the planets that they sent him to, and then they never did open it up again until about around 1985. The Stargate got activated again because the Goa'uld checked to see. The Goa'uld saw that Stargate was reactivated, so they dialed it in and came through it. And when they came through it, they landed at they came through that military base. See, it's a lot that's going on. If they really told you the real truth about what was going on as far as extraterrestrial business, it'll just blow your mind. It's hard to believe, I'm telling you, of how extraterrestrials came to that base, kidnapped women, and left back through the Stargate. They show you in the movie. But that actually took place. 97% of that Stargate series is actual truth. I'm telling you, man. 90% of it. Only part that they show, they make all the Goa'ulds Caucasians. That's the part that they got you messed up on. These people are Nubian people, because they were taking avatars from Africa, the Afar people, and the Watusis, right? So yeah, so they end up getting a hold of it later and start using it from 1985 all the way up until probably now. They use this Stargate to go to other planets, start bringing back other minerals, and start trying to do deals with other beings on other planets. Some of these beings that they go to are more primitive than Earth, right? So some of these planets they visit are still in the medieval times, and then some other planets they visit are like they may have advanced technology, but they still in a primitive state because they got a religious dogma type system set up. A lot of these planets got a lot of the extraterrestrials who are more advanced. Not only did they come to Earth and try to guard you and say that they were gods and all this, they went to several other planets and did the same exact thing. Some of them planets, they running experiments like where the people are born and they live to be 100 days old and they grow to be 21 years old in 100 days, and then they die, and then they born again, because it was certain extraterrestrials running genetical experiments on other planets. Also, this planet was they were running generic. Yeah, Stargate is all the Stargates. All the ones are 90% accurate. Like, to say the only thing that they did was to make everybody, Caucasian people. Yeah, but just watch those stories. They've been doing that for a while. They've been cloning. They've been altering genetics. All this has already been done. When you see something on TV, they already 40 years ahead of what they're showing you. They've been on what they're showing you. They've been on it 30, 40 years before they showed it to you on TV, in the movies. What do you think these movies get their ideas from? Did they just make it up off top? They made the Stargate off of their head? It's not based on something? Where do they get these stories from? Where do they get them from? The people, the real stories go down and they take logs of all the documents and they send them to Hollywood so they can put them in a movie. So if any whistleblower, anybody come out like me telling you that this is real information, you just say, oh yeah, well, he's seen that in the movie. But we already pointed out to you how they stole a lot of the characters in Man in Black. It come from the Dogon people. They got those stories from the Dogons and the Twa Man of they encounters. A lot of the Star Trek movie is coming from the Twa and the Dogon stories of these different beings coming from different places. If you notice, a lot of those beings in Star Trek are beings from Sirius, like the Ape Man, like we pointed out a lot of this stuff on the different extraterrestrial tape, right? Yeah, so like to say, the Stargate, if you look at the symbols on there, the symbol for Earth is a triangle with a circle on the top, right? And you got different symbols. If you look at these symbols, if you pull up a star system and look at the symbol for the star system, that's usually the like a dial, or you know how like those old rotor phones. I don't know if a lot of people that on here are old enough, but they used to have these phones where you spin, like you got the numbers around, right? You had this little rotor thing, so you spin into the number, then you let it roll back. You spin into a number, let it roll back, spin into a number. They actually took that. The telephone system actually was designed after the Stargate. They had the Stargate in 1939, and then all of a sudden, rotary phones come out a little bit after that. Maybe way later, like probably like in the 80s. When did those rotary phones come out? Like in the 80s. So they had already had the technology. And look, and just check how a phone work. A phone, you dial the numbers just like a Stargate. Then it sends a signal out and connects with another on the other end, and you're able to talk to these people just like we talking to you now. And you all over the world. This is actually more advanced because more people can be on the line, just like you have a three-way call, right? But you can hear my voice. It's like I'm traveling through a Stargate right now just by talking to you on this Instagram, right? So I'm traveling through a Stargate right now just by talking to you. So it's a similar technology. So they took the rotary phones and the technology for phone systems to start out. That is initially like the basis of the Stargate, right? It says, Kimberly, you might not remember those rotary phones. My grandma had one of those phones where you got to dial a number, spin into the 9 or the 0, then you spin it back, whatever the number was, you let it spin back. And that's how you dial the numbers. It's just like the Stargate. Now, eventually, eventually Tahuti and them started developing these huge crafts. They refer to it in the Stargate series as the Destiny. And if you look at the craft, you can clearly see that it's ancient Anunnaki designs. They got the stepstone pyramid on the back. You can see that it's the people that designed this, that these know that these ships, these Destiny fleets, were built on Earth and on the backside of the moon and on Mars. And what they were unmanned crafts that the ancients or these Atlanteans or these Natharus sent out to start planting stargates on other planets, so that eventually they can just go and whatever. Because they had the Greys in control of this too. The Greys would man some of these ships, and what they were these Greys were excavators. That's why we created the Greys. They were explorers to go out to beyond the galaxy to find new planets that we can see or that we can find minerals on. Yeah, the rotary phones like out in the 50s, right? So keep in mind they had the Stargate in 1938. They probably been out in the 50s. I just remember I remember when I'm young, so I just remember when my grandmother had one when I was younger. So they could have been out, but I know they had one out before 1938. So they were still doing Mars code, I think, back then. But they get that technology from the Stargate, man, in 1939 when they discovered it and brought it to America, right? Where they told this story about, hey, we taking it to the Chicago Institute of Research, and then they found another one in Antarctica. They actually found a whole command station that the Anunnakis had set up, the old command station that the Anunnakis set up down in Antarctica. Antarctica used to be where it used to be different from where it's at now, right? It wasn't ice like it is. It used to be like vegetation and stuff, and it's pyramids and everything down in Antarctica. It's also a huge lake, a frozen lake, which people keep on saying, hey, what about this frozen ice wall? It's not an ice wall. It's a lake that goes down about 800 miles. Well, really 400 miles for it's like 400 miles deep before it reverses gravity. And then once it reverses gravity, your submarine will flip over to the opposite side. And then you go down to, you come up in the bottom of the center of the earth, right? So they start talking about this ice wall down in Antarctica, right? So, but once they fly over the ice wall, what they ain't telling you is it's a huge hole in the middle of that lake where the water is thawed out. Why is all this ice froze? And then in the middle of the dead center of the middle of the South Pole, it's a lake that's thawed, a hole in the lake that's thawed out. Adolf Hitler and them eventually went down there in a submarine, right? Now, at the bottom, they couldn't get in. The government couldn't get in because they didn't know what was going on. But they understood that at the North Pole, there's a hole. And they ended up sending Admiral Byrd, right? Admiral Byrd flew his plane into the hole 500 miles before he started going to run out of fuel and turned around. And then when he came back, they confiscated his logs. He said that he seen tropical. It looks like he was flying over a tropical area. That it was a sun or some kind of light in the center of this place. So what they teach you in school about the core and all that is not true. Well, it's partially true because they do got a core, but that core is actually a 600-mile sun that was actually put there by the Anunnakis. These Anunnakis got technology to design planets and stars, right? Yeah, so eventually, as we were developing these unmanned ships to go out and place stargates, we was going to eventually go and follow up on it. But we eventually developed ascension technology so that we can ascend back to as light beings again. And we was already developing this technology on Risk because every certain amount of on Risk, one day is 195 days, which is 3 years your time. So every certain amount of hundreds of years, we would start utilizing this device to where we can turn into light beams for a certain amount of time during the day. Keep in mind, like I said, one day was 1,095 years, right? Your time, 1,095 days, 3 years. Your time, 72 hours. But really, 72 hours, like I say, really is 3 years on risk. And so we was developing the ascension technology, which we eventually came back to Earth with the help of these reptilian beings in the center of the Earth who are benevolent beings. We ended up developing the technology to be able to ascend. So we didn't necessarily need the Stargates no more. Once we was able to develop the light body crafts, right? And this is way out to Nubaru and all that, right? And keep in mind, Nubaru is a seven. It can go all the way up to the sixth dimension. It's a sixth dimensional ship. You gain a light body in the high six, beginning of the seventh dimension, right? Well, really, no. Like you really can gain a light body at the low six, which would be about around 300 terahertz. Once you vibrating at 300 terahertz, you gain a light body, which is the lowest frequency, which is the color red. Then as you go up in color and vibration, you get to ultraviolet, boom, then what we call the black, ultra black, or the black light, right? The black light, if you know anything about black lights speed the vibration of certain things up when you put the black light on it. So with certain things you might not be able to see with the naked eye, if you put a black light on it, you can see it. That's why I'm gonna get to you. Says nobody isn't questioning the holy creation. Does it talk about the other word? So how they? Hey, I don't understand your question, Cassandra. Could you reword that for me? What was I talking about? Yeah, so reword that for me. You say what you talking about in the beginning was the word? What you getting at, Cassandra? When you say holy creation, what holy creation are you talking about? The creation of the planet? Because the Anunnakis didn't create the planet. The God of the Bible didn't create the planet. The planet was already here when God got here. When the Anunnakis, Enki and Enlil and Anunnam came, the planet was already here. There was beings already living here. When you say the creator, that term can be used loosely. Now, when you say the creator, are you referring to the ultimate source of the universe? Or are you referring to different extraterrestrials who had technology to be able to create certain things? You can create. You are a creator. We creating content right now by speaking when we speaking to you on this format. So there's a lot of different creators. The Anunnakis were they are the creators, not the creators of humans, but they did add their image and likeness to the humans. And so we are children of God. We are children of Enki. We are, all y'all are children of the Most High God, Anu, down through Noah. It says, the creator of everything. Yeah, so when you say creator of everything, you mean the ultimate source of existence. The thing was, non-ether gas. If you could refer to it as if you want to make it, try to give a name to it, it'll be the non-ether gas, the ninth level of vibration. So gas forms everything. Gas. Then we go into the gas, and then we go into the hydrogen atom. We go into what makes up the hydrogen atom. Then you get into pions, right? Or you get into biops, quarks, and zillaps, right? Bi means two, right? Bi-ap. And then you get into the pions, like I said, the electrons, neutrons, protons. There are beings out here that's more advanced, like the first group of grays, who actually extract the nucleus out of an atom and use that as fuel. And they can fly billions of light years in a couple of days. Yeah, when you say creator of everything, you're talking about the all. That's what you can refer to it as. What the master teacher called it, the all, the everything, the all, right? The all is. So that'll be the all would be the ultimate creator of everything. But inside of the all, you have certain beings who are intelligent and they create things or upgrade things or sometimes mess stuff up. You know. Hey, we'll take a couple questions and then we'll take a quick break and we'll come back for another one. So what you got? Hit me with some questions based off what we talked about. Let's see what you got. What you got? What you got? Yeah, the all El Kalum. That's right. That's right. Tomb Ray. That's right. So that'll be the ultimate. Anu is not the all. Anu is a being that the all picked, and it's several of them that became the most high amongst his people, the most wisest, the most intelligent, the most prolific amongst his people. So if you had a group of beings, which they refer to as Elohim, right? One of these beings can become a Yahweh, Elohim, which means he's over the group of Elohims. And then it's another being that's over all the Yahwehs. He becomes Elion El, or Anu, the Most High God, who all of y'all are children of. At least a lot of y'all. They come down from Noah. Yes and no. What it is, the one when you're looking at that action, the key word is balance. Balance. So yes and no. It's always got to be two sides, most time three sides to this thing, right? Because you got the if you look into the atom, you got three parts. So this reality is based on three, and more than this reality is based on three, right? So you have the nucleus, the electron, and the proton, and that creates the balance. So yes, no, and maybe so. You know what I'm saying? That's how you look at it, because the all is. So it could be, so it's yes and no and in between. How you get to the non-frequency is you gotta just purify yourself. You gotta become lighter. The toxins weigh you down. Guilt weigh you down. Desires weigh you down. Right? So you gotta get rid of. You gotta become at peace and that come to a purity, at least to that green light. Get to the green light, and then you could get access to that frequency. But that frequency really is forbidden. You really only, as of now, you only really can have access to the seventh, which is thought. Thought is the highest you go before they slow your vibration back down. Yeah. Any more questions? Hit us with that next question. We live, we lit, and we legit. One of them elders said, man, young, the stuff you be like, sometimes we got to spin around. We got to keep teaching the same stuff until people get it, then we can go to the next. We can go to the next stuff. So sometimes we got to keep on repeating ourselves on certain things because people ask the same questions. Oh yeah, so those beings, I got a tape out called the Nomos, right? So these beings that you referring to, they are the Nomos beings, right? The some people refer to them as mermaids. Um, Mermaids, right? Because these beings, how they got the name mermaid is because of the queen. Her name was Queen Mir from one of the planets in Cyrus. That Alelu ended up hooking up with her. They end up coming back to this star system, right? And landed on. They actually landed on Earth first, so they can refuel, which is where Alelu found the gold. And then once that happened, boom, he went back to one of his home planets that he designed a long time ago during a competition, which you refer to as Neptune, which is mostly like 80% water. And these beings, these Nomos beings who were half humanoid, half fish beings in the lower half, like the god Dogong, right? The Dogong god, the fish god. And actually, that's Alelu. And actually, the Pope, they actually the Pope wears a fish hat representing these Nomos beings because Christianity is really Nomos teachings. Christianity is the Nomos teaching the Dogongs about the motion of the stars. So Christianity goes all the way back to Ethiopia where the Dogongs was, and it was extraterrestrial information that got turned into religion. Yeah, those who claim to know the most, right? Yeah, so, but the Neptune ended up getting, due to almost crashing during a magnetic storm when Nibiru passed by, it sent an electric shock to the planet, killing 2/3 of the planet. The rest of the people got evacuated and got brought to Key, Earth. So there's Nomos. There's all kind of Nomos in your ocean, but the ones you specifically mentioned, the mermaid types, they live in lakes in England. The lake they showed you this in Harry Potter in Scotland, right? Scotland Yards, because they kidnapped some of these beings and put them into that lake. And there's some lakes that actually got tunneled out to go to the ocean, right? Especially in San Diego areas and the outskirts. But these beings, the Navy have even captured some of them, and they live in the ocean right now. And some of them live in the Pacific and Atlantic Ocean because those beings got brought here after the magnetic storm. It says I don't want to make nobody upset, but go ahead, drop your questions, Cassandra. The Nagas. The Nagas are, keep in mind, the Nomos, the Nagas, the Dragonians all come from the same origin, from Meldic. Now, the Dragonians are an upgraded species that evoluted on Earth, Key, right? Now, this first species, the Nagas, are older species. They actually were a dinosaur type, humanoid type beings before they left Earth. Now, before the calamities, even before the pole shift, Earth has been through so many calamities. But every time they go through a calamity, certain groups of extraterrestrials abduct beings from Earth and take them to other star systems. So the Nagas, the Nagas are older than the Nomos. The Nomos actually come from the Nagas. The Dragonians, all of these beings, right? So the Nagas actually got taken to Cyrus. And then over time of evolution and being under the water and mixing with Hindus, because the mermaids are mixed with the Nomos and Hindus. They Nomos, but they Hindu mixed with Nomos, like fish beings mixed with humanoids, Hindus. That happened later when the Hindus came to Cyrus, right? So it's thousands of different species of Nomos. Like just look in your ocean. You got sharks, different types of fish, right? These are all classified as Nomos. Um, but the Nagas then went to Cyrus, and then part of them broke off, right? And they went. Part of them broke off and went to Nirvana, Procon, and that's when they mixed with some of them, these serpent type beings or reptilian beings mixed with these Hindus. And so you got that particular branch of the Nagas. The Nagas that got the cobra, that's a humanoid and cobra looking. All right. So these Hindus actually worship, these Hindu avatars actually worship these beings. And when they came back to Earth, they brought this culture with them, which is why you see the cobra and all that in Hindu culture, the cobra. And you see it in ancient Kemetic culture because the Hindus mixed in with the ancient Kemetic people, and they brought their culture in too. And a part of their culture is the pyramids. They was building pyramids on Nevada. The Olmecs didn't build the pyramids. The Olmecs don't build pyramids. Hindus do. I'm telling you, man. The ships that they came in were pyramid-shaped ships when they came here 66 billion years ago. Go look it up. Type in Hindu UFOs. Yeah, so the Olmecs didn't build the pyramids. Cause when I say Africans, it just depends on what perspective, but the pyramid influence didn't come into the Hindus. These Hindus, some of you call them Moors. Why? Because they landed in a place called Aura. You are fire, city of fire. Let there be light. And in a certain tongue, when you from a certain area or you from a certain thing, they say mu, means one who's of. Go look it up in the holy tablets in the glossary. It says mu, one who's of. So if I say mu aura, more, one who's of Chaldea. And who landed there? These Hindus. These Hindus is the ones that influence the pyramid building. They also influenced the cobra and dragon worship down in ancient Kemet, and because we didn't worship serpents. We didn't worship serpents here until the Hindus. Yeah, so the Nagas, a certain species of them did end up going to the Vega star system and mixing with another species of beings called the plant beings. Because keep in mind, the plant beings are living, breathing beings. They are just like you, the plants. They give you oxygen while you give them carbon dioxide. So they must be breathing. They take in sunlight. They need water, just like you do. They are living organisms. They have a heart rate, pulse. Trees have a pulse. A pulse. What is a serpent? There's different definitions on it. I mean, it depends on what perspective. It depends on what perspective you want on that. Is that a trick question or something? So is it bad to eat them? Eat nomos? The Anunnakis will eat nomos. The nomos will eat you. If you don't believe me, go into the ocean, swim out there, and have a cut or something on your leg. Give it a couple minutes, you'll be a Snickers for a nomos. I'm telling you. And they can smell it miles. They can smell blood miles in the ocean. Yeah, the vortex should be wide open by November. Wide open. This is the year, though. Yeah, now there's different definitions in the Bible. At one point, it called it a hairy creature. A hairy creature, because the word, when they translate it to serpent, it says nakash. You know what it really means? It really means the whisperer. Because these reptilians, they So they talk, they got a whisper type of dialect. So it really means translate into the whisperer. When you translate it out of in Nakash, the whisperer. So there's different perspectives on it. So like I say, it can mean just like a being that whispers. Sneaky, crafty, a crafty being. You know what I'm saying? Sneaky. He says, who gone food put it in? Hey, the people who with less brain capacity. If your brain capacity is below 10%, that's what it is. Hey, you got to finish your sentence, city. Most of you are inky side. Really, we connected to both, but most of you are inky side because most of you come down from Noah. What about my religious guys? Re-legions, which means to reorganize with a whole bunch of demons. Keep in mind, the Bible is not religion. The Quran is not really religion. It's actual based on true information. Like actual stuff that happen, no spiritual and all that. That's all religion. The Bible is actual literal information when you read it, when you know how to read it. See how many minutes we've been on, man. We take a couple more questions, man. We're gonna get out of here for a short, brief commercial break, and we'll be right back at you with the people before the Anunnakis. But this one's entitled "Ra in the Stargate." We're gonna do a part 2 to this too. We break down the second part. Oh yeah, if you go check out that Jordan Maxwell tape that we just put out on YouTube. He breaks a lot of stuff down in that tape too. Right? Yeah, he breaks a lot of stuff down in that tape too. What you got? Gold Chain Ace. What you got, brother? Shout out Gold Chain Ace. Like I said, if you want to get those, we got 8 books out where we breaking a lot of this stuff down in the books. If you want to get those 8 books by the Young Elder, just cash at me at the Young Elder without the S now, because it's a dude scamming using my face, my name, and everything. But he put an S on the end of Young Elders. Don't send to that one. Send to the Young Elder. It don't even got a thumbnail on the cash app. Make sure you leave your email in the links so I can send you the books right over as soon as I get off. If you want to get those 8 books by the Young Elder, and we only got them in PDF form now. And like I say, I'm in the process of doing a deal with Amazon, so we can get them joints on Amazon and really take off. Is some of the yeah, most of all of them are dark in color, like blue, black, not necessarily black, but dark colors, olive tones. The Ashtar Command is only that one group. Not Plateans are not really Nordics. They only just one group, and they actually not even from Plates. They actually from Neptune. Well, actually, they are Aldebaran avatars for the Neptunians, right? That's how they end up hooking up back with the Nomos and became known as Ashtar Command, right? The Airborne Regiment. Because the people who controlling the media, and they want to cut us off from anything, just make us keep us on a 10% level so we could be the food. Because you got to keep in mind, originally they were the food, but they trying to switch spots with us. They said that, oh yeah, these beans would be more tasty. Why? Because they got adrenaline glands. They got adrenaline glands. And your adrenaline is stronger in Nubians. We're going to say so much. We can't go into it. We're going to get some more. We're going to go on Patreon for that, right? Get on Patreon for that. We going to go in on Patreon. All right, so we better get out, man. We're going to be right back in about 30 minutes, man. It's most I get much gratitude. Yeah, man, you're gonna get the real spill. We're gonna be back in about 30 minutes, man. Shalom alaikum, assalamu alaikum, peace be unto you, hotep, right? Waduk, Ashug, divine love throughout the balanced universe to all. We'll be back.